Hi, everyone. Hopefully we could have heard Sam. This is our on-call series. So again, hi, my name is Adrienne McCraw. I am an event specialist for special events and protocol at UC San Diego. And today I'm representing on behalf of the CSU EPN Executive Council. So this Executive Council is made up of event planning colleagues from all CSU and UC campuses. Today's meeting is part of the CSU EPN's On-Call series. So this is where you are. On-Call is a monthly series of roundtable meetings offered by the CSU Event Professionals Network. Anyone who has a shorter name for this, we welcome that, in partnership with the CSU Advancement Academy. So, and this is to provide a space for event professionals working in higher education to explore trending topics with fellow colleagues. So each month, the roundtable will focus on a different topic. On-call meetings are usually on the second Wednesday of the month from 11:30 to 12:15. So we have a couple of great upcoming on-call topics lined up for you. Next month is going to be the Staff and Employee Appreciation Events. This is going to be held on a Tuesday due to Veterans Day on November 10th, and again, 11:30 to 12:15. The following topic is going to be event gamification. That's going to be held on December 9th from, again, 11:30 to 12:15. So don't forget, you can connect with the CSU EPN on our Facebook page. We have a LinkedIn group, as well as join our email listserv. So simply just email our host, Sam, to join. And I believe we're going to put some links in the chat for you. Perfect, there they are. And now I'll go ahead and turn it back over to Sam to begin our meeting. Sam?
Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. I didn't know that the music was still on full blast. In case you missed it, I just wanted to welcome the group. And like I said, it's very nice to see both development and events management professionals here with us, because this is one of those particular events that requires both of those teams to work together very closely. Before we begin our presentations here, I'll want to share that folks are welcome to share questions for presenters as they present in the chat. After each presentation, we'll have a chance to go through those questions in the chat and take one or two questions live from the group as well. Following both presentations, there'll be plenty of opportunity to ask one another and have full conversations during the discussion portion of the meeting. So with that, I want to go ahead and introduce our first presenter, Antoinette Wojcik, who's the Executive Director of Principal Gifts and Campaign at Sacramento State University. And she's going to tell us about the On the Rise campaign that they have, or the launch for it that they have coming up in the spring. Antoinette?
Thanks, Sam, for your introduction and for inviting me to present here. All right, so like Sam said, my name is Antoinette Wojcik, and I'm the Executive Director of Principal Gifts and Campaign at Sacramento State. I've been with the university for about 5.5 years, and I focus on two roles, of which raising principal gift dollars for the university, but also leading the strategy for our first comprehensive campaign. So our current campaign is a $225 million campaign that started in July 1 of 2015. Our current president, Robert S. Nelson, joined the university right before that campaign started. And we anticipate ending July of 2023, but certainly given various gift conversations that we have going on, that might change. So we have 3 priorities: students, knowledge, and community. And as I mentioned before, because this is Sacramento State's first comprehensive campaign, nothing has been traditional about it, including our planning for the public launch. Next slide. So this is our 3rd time planning our public launch event. We April 24th of 2020. So right before we, or right after we were sent home, and in line with our university's Give Day, which was scheduled for the next day. So this was supposed to be the April 2020 event was supposed to be an in-person event, really highlighting the impact of philanthropy through engagement with students, faculty, staff, and our community. And then obviously COVID happened, so we had to adjust. So we shifted our date to October 1st of 2020. And we really looked at how we could showcase the campaign pillars in a virtual way, which, as you can imagine, there's lots of ideas around how to do that. But we knew we really needed the entire campus to support this public launch and to be involved. So we wanted our event to highlight our successes thus far and progress to date with the campaign, and not just about dollars raised, but certainly the impact that philanthropy has had with those dollars. And we also knew that keeping people's attention was going to be a challenge, right? So, people have been working remotely since technically March. And so 6 months of Zoom meetings or webinars, we knew that keeping people's attention was certainly at the top of our list. Given a number of factors and both in the world and on our campus, we actually shifted our launch one more time. And this is the official date, so we're not moving it, to March 16th of 2021. So what does our event look like? And it will be a combination of a Good Morning America kind of SNL type pre-recorded event featuring Noble alumni, faculty, staff, and students. We will highlight our successes in a pre-recorded video with 55 different video hits. And I know, Angie, after watching your launch this past weekend, I wait for your presentation because I know how you did that. But we'll have commercials and an entertainment piece as well. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're just in the stages of starting our filming. As I mentioned, the focus is really on taking what was to be an in-person event and moving that virtually, which you can do, like I said, in a myriad of ways. I don't see, okay, sorry, thank you. So I think and my advice, and I have my colleague, Paul Villaluz on the call as well, and feel free to jump in, Paul, at any point, but is to be adaptable. I will say, this is our third time that we've changed our campaign launch. Things will continue to change, and that's okay. I've kind of expected it at this point. And we just need to kind of move forward with the framework, but also recognize that things might change. And with that, make a plan that can change. So for us, again, the focus is on how to take the themes of our in-person event and make those adaptable to a virtual event. That's hard for a number of reasons, but we're really focusing on what are the things that we want people to leave this event with. What are the things that we want them to have learned? What are the feelings that we hope that they come away with? And we recognize that if at some point come March that we will be able to have an in-person event, we're still going to keep with our plan of showcasing this pre-recorded campaign launch type video, but we'll just invite people to watch it with us. And certainly I would say as well, making sure that you utilize your campus resources. So I have a team of two, so myself and two other people that are pulling this off. We're certainly utilizing resources across our division and certainly resources across our campus. We've partnered really, really well with our student affairs colleagues and our ASI colleagues and the leadership within that group, because we certainly know that students are at the heart and center of this campaign, and we can't be successful without their partnership. And then recognizing again that this is a valuable way to showcase the strengths of the university and just continuing to create that culture of philanthropy. And the last thing I will say is because we're doing this virtually, we have been able to engage donors across the country and across the world. We have over 250,000 alums. Of that, we have about 80% of those with current email addresses. And so we really hope to push this message across to a broad base that we couldn't do otherwise with an in-person event. So any questions?
Thank you, Antoinette. I don't see any questions in the chat, but folks are welcome to go ahead and kind of electronically raise their hands, or even just go ahead and just jump off mute and pose your question to Antoinette. We have a couple minutes here. We could also save them for the discussion later, so that's all perfectly fine. All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce our next speaker, Angela from UC Davis, and permit me 1 second to get up your. And Angela is the Assistant Vice Chancellor for Development Outreach at UC Davis within the Division of Development and Alumni Relations. So welcome, and we look forward to hearing well, it was a fabulous spectacular this past weekend. So we love to hear what all went into putting it together.
Very good. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here among people that do, I think, the hardest work at on the university, and we've made it even harder by trying to make events that are sensory and three-dimensional, and we're trying to pull off two-dimensional events. So kudos to all of you for the work that you're doing. Sam and Antoinette mentioned it. We just survived our campaign launch. I am tired and I have bags under my eyes, but it is not the same kind of tired as when you have everyone in person, right? So we did launch our campaign on 10/10/2020. Unlike Sac State, we have this awesome, crazy chancellor that when we went into lockdown said, well, we're still doing the launch, right? Like, we'll just figure it out, right? Ange, you can figure it out, right? And I said, we just have to be able to answer the question, like, why UC Davis and why now? Like, because there could be people that are upset with us about that. And he said, I want to be able to answer that. I have the answer, and I feel like the world really needs us, and it ties into our message. So we went for it. Pivot is not even the right word to say. Everything about the program was already created. We were going to do all of this in person, but we just made it more of a television program. Like Antoinette's going to do a Sac State, right? It's everything was pre-recorded. We had to do all of our video segments based on found assets because we had no students on campus, right? We had to bring a video crew and like make some of the scenes look like they could. So it was probably one of the hardest projects I've worked on. And this is maybe my 15th or 17th campaign launch in my career. So I would say this is definitely the hardest. So I just wanted to share a couple of things, sort of lessons learned and things that we learned, but also share how we went about building our audience. So Sam, could you click to the next one for me? So we went with, if you've ever seen the show Willy Wonka, you know that song Pure Imagination, we really played off of that as the theme, right? We think that UC Davis is a place where there's creativity, imagination, innovation is something that's happening every day. And we just wanted to be able to demonstrate that. The big thing with fundraising events is we use the vernacular campaign launch, but it doesn't mean anything to people, right? It does to a few of our trustees. So we dubbed it a virtual innovation spectacular, right? Because if we would have said campaign launch, they'd have been like, what's that? So we really sort of played off of that, and you can see sort of some of the whimsy in the color that we use, which were part of all of our colors for the campaign. So this is just an example of our invitation. We, if you'll go to the next slide, please. I wanted to talk to you about this because Antoinette sort of mentioned that this about the accessibility. So we broke our audience into 3 tiers. Never before have we been posed with this opportunity, right? When you typically do a campaign launch, you have your highest tiered donors in the room, the people that have made their campaign gift and the people most likely to make their campaign gift. Those are the people you have in the room. We had intended to have about 1,000 people in one of our facilities on campus. And that probably would have been mostly tier 1, as you see on this list. Our laureates are donors of $1 million or more. Our foundations board, our chancellor's advisory board. So sort of those tippity top, and probably group A would have been invited. And that's where we would have stopped. So group A is LGS is our Leadership Giving Society, which is our lifetime giving society of $50,000 or more. Shield Society members are our planned giving donors. We invited them and would have to an in-person event. All of our campaign volunteers, and then our Cal Aggie Alumni Association board. But then we were able to go deeper. And so we included group tier 2, group B, and we have a third giving society or recognition society. And this is our leadership annual donors, which is, we call it the Davis Chancellors Club. So we were able to dip down and invite people in at that level. We also looked at this is an opportunity, a campaign launch is an opportunity to get your development officers, a reason to get people excited and create some urgency around making your gift now. So we invited anyone that was a managed prospect in our portfolio, any of our parents that we were also under management, meaning the development officer had a relationship and believes that they have potential to give. We also included our retirees because they are amazing prospects for planned gifts. And then we went even further into tier 3. These would be any donors below $1,000, and then any of our alumni and parents that just had a connection to our organization. And the thing I was most excited and proud about is we invited all of our faculty and staff and students to also participate. So thank you. You can move to the next slide if you'd like. We did create, because we couldn't do anything for folks in person, we did create these really beautiful stewardship boxes, little snack boxes that Jelly Belly, one of the board members we have is a bigwig at Jelly Belly. They gave us some beautiful gift boxes of jelly beans. You'll see there's a cocktail shaker in there, a viewfinder, and then some other just sort of snacky things in theory that they'd snack on while they watched the show. The key thing about this box is we sent this to people even if they hadn't RSVP'd, if they were at a certain level of giving, to try to bolster our numbers to get people to RSVP for the event. On the next slide. We also created something that we called innovation spotlights, because if all of you guys do work in large universities, right, where you have so many colleges and schools and units, and everyone during a campaign launch wants to be seen and heard. Well, originally we had planned to do, we did an in-person event. We were going to have what we called innovation stations, and we were going to, during the cocktail hour, every college, school, and unit was given an opportunity to bring something super innovative forward, and they were going to get to interact with the donors and have their moment to do that. So what we did on this pivot is we created a video that highlighted this innovative idea for every college, school, and unit. So that's, as you can see, that's like 18 unique videos that had to be created. And then 4 weeks leading up to the event, we dropped a spotlight, and we have 4 pillars of our campaign. So we tried to line the innovations around each of our 4 pillars. And this helped us every week that we sent this innovation spotlight with these individual videos for our colleges, schools, and units. We saw our numbers bump by 200 to 300 more RSVPs. So it was it was sort of like a drip marketing, if you will. And it gave our people an opportunity to be featured. They loved it. And after it aired, or, you know, we sent it out, then each of the individual college, schools, and units could then take their video and promote it through using their own channel. And I think the next slide is an example of what one would have looked like. Yeah, there you go. And this is so cool. Sam created this. It scrolls. But it's an email. So this one is our spotlight on our future. And then there's a tab, and all of the videos were linked in there. So you could just click on any of them. It would then take you to a landing page. And you could watch all the other videos, and you could also, of course, RSVP. So we gave them every way they could work. We were trying to figure out a way to make sure that they had an opportunity to RSVP. At the end, our goal was, I just wanted over 1,000 people in attendance, right? Like that's what we were gonna do if we were in person. So we actually ended up with 2,900 RSVPs, 2,931 to be exact. That got unique links to attend our event. I'll tell you that when we had our event, we aired it at 4 p.m. California time. We wanted to make certain that everybody had an opportunity, no matter what time zone you were in, it was about the right time zone. We had about 1,000 that logged in that time precisely at 4 p.m. And then we had another 1,500 watch it over the weekend. So they watched it on their own time frame. So everyone has now seen it. So we've been able to track all of that. I think I might have one more slide. Oh, I guess that is my last slide. So I talked probably a little bit longer than I was supposed to, Sam, sorry. But I'm so happy to answer any questions because, you know, we had to go out front of everybody else and do it. So I hope that you will all learn from us what to do and what to do better, you know, when you guys do it. So.
Thank you, Angela. And no, you're right on time. And like you said, thank you so much for being kind of the first one out, and then also coming back and sharing with your colleagues, you know, CSU and UC as well. And we're really appreciative of that, especially since you're hot off finishing the event itself, and you're here with us now. So I can't say how much we really appreciate you here and sharing your insight. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and I'll open this up to the larger group to see if there are any questions for our presenters. I have one in the chat right now. Folks are wondering, and this is, I guess, both to Angela and Antoinette, folks are wondering a little bit, they want a few more details on some of your pre-recorded content. Well, I'll turn it to Antoinette first, and then Angela.
Yeah, so we are doing, like I said, a Good Morning America / SNL type public launch framework. So what that looks like is 2 anchors. We're actually using an ASI vice president and then a faculty or a staff member, actually, who's pretty well known to our students and our faculty and staff. So again, trying to build that culture of philanthropy. We're doing little news segments. We're actually using different forms of media. We're going to do a commercial that is completely animated to try and break up the Zoom format, which, you know, again, by March 16th of next year, everyone will be like, oh, another one of these. So we're really trying to kind of add some levity, a little bit of playfulness, and really that celebratory theme to it. So hopefully that answers your question. We're highlighting the 3 pillars through different stories, through the commercials, through the news segments. But if there's something specific you're looking for, let me know.
Yeah, and Tina, you're welcome to jump on in a second and pose that question via audio as well.
I'll just add that we pre-recorded everything. So everything was recorded. It was premiered on YouTube. So we set the time, it started, and if you would have just happened upon the YouTube channel for UC Davis at that moment, you would have been able to watch it along with us. I've had someone ask if they could get a link to it. You can just go to our YouTube channel and type in Innovation Spectacular and you'll find it. It is, we just took every chance of anything technically going wrong by pre-recording all of it. And like I said, like a lot of it is, we don't have a lot of our students back on campus, or many. A lot of our classrooms are shut. A lot of our research labs are closed. So we had to pre-record everything as if it was a normal time in our life, and it wasn't, right? We did address that though very clearly in the intro and in the chancellor's intro. So we talked about why and why now.
Definitely. And the introduction was kind of my favorite part too. It was your vice chancellor in what looked like was the event space where the live one was supposed to happen. And then the green screen comes down and then he takes off his suit and actually he's at home with his family. It caught you off guard, but it was a nice touch. We have one hand and then a question in the chat. So I'll go ahead to Melissa.
Real quick, it's Tina.
Oh, yes, Tina, go ahead.
Thank you, Antoinette. Yes, that answers my question. It was more about like, is it commercials? Is it little snippets? Is it a mix of, you said cartoon. So that's perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Melissa, go ahead and pose your question.
Yes, hi. I was wondering what streaming and registration platforms you used or you're planning to use, and what were you most happy about as far as features? Were there any things that you didn't like? If you could just share more about those items.
Hi, Melissa. This is Paul from Sac State. So hopefully you can hear me. There's an ATV in the background, but we were just planning to use Zoom in the beginning and then post it on like UC Davis YouTube Premiere. But now we're looking at event platforms like Socio, C-Event Hub, or Whova. We're taking a look at those because we wanted to capture all of the registration information and just have a better interaction that way, and like a hub for our guests to experience our premiere or our event.
Great, thank you.
And Angela, you shared that it was on YouTube Premiere, but we're curious what maybe with the registration tool you use to manage.
Oh, we use iModules. Yes, sorry, I didn't know if you wanted both of us to answer each time. So we used iModules, so that way we could track who RSVP'd, so we could do analytics on the back end. So when we sent the link out, if they used that particular link to log in, we were able to know that it was that particular donor, managed prospect, key person. So that helped us out a lot.
Awesome, thank you for sharing. I have one more question in the chat, and then I kind of want to open it up to the group to see if anybody else wants to share some of their plans for their campaign launches. So David is wondering, I guess to both Antoinette and Angie, what the size of your event staff is. I guess in this case, the kind of group that's working the most hands-on on the campaign launch.
So I have 2 folks in addition to myself within my department that are supporting this, but Paul, who oversees events for our division, is also supporting this. But honestly, it's kind of across the board. I mean, we are a small shop. We have about like 52 people within our division, including frontline fundraisers. So we are heavily reliant on the support of everyone, like I said, across campus. And honestly, I think that's not a bad thing, because if the goal is to create a culture of philanthropy at the heart of a campaign launch, then you're doing that by involving many, many people.
Agree. I have an event planning, we're organized a little bit differently. So I see Jennifer on here. So we have, the university has a central event planning team that Jennifer sits on. And then we have a donor relations event team that manages and works really closely on any donor events. So, and that team is 4 people. You have 3 full-time event planners, an event analyst, that handles all the RSVPs, et cetera, ordering and that kind of thing. But from our planning, we're just like Antoinette, like we took everybody. We had marketing people involved. We had events people involved. We had, we had big featured groups. So engineering, ag, health. I mean, they all like had a voice and were part of how we came up with everything. So in total, I think we had a planning committee of maybe like 26 people. Now I would say the work got done by about 6 people, but everybody, UC Davis is all about consensus building. I don't know if your schools are like this, but you can't just make decisions in a vacuum. So everybody got to have a voice in it. So it was a really large planning team.
Awesome. Well, that's great to hear. Again, I want to open it up to the group to see if anybody else wants to share any plans that they have in the works for their campaign launches. I know several CSU campuses are in quiet phases right now of their comprehensive campaigns. So I'll take this pause to see if anybody wants to share.
Hi, Sam. Hi, everyone. I'm Dominique Munoz. I'm the Senior Director of Special Events at Cal State Northridge. And we are struggling through kind of the same thing. We made some plans to do a live campaign public event. We've had to put that on hold. Our plans, though, we have an additional exciting part of this whole thing is we're getting a new president. So we're incorporating that in kind of the overall launch events that we're doing starting next year. So in addition to doing virtual small to medium-sized Zoom meetings to welcome our new president to the community, to our donors, we're planning and hoping, but now I'm listening to what you guys are saying, that we probably should look at it as maybe a video as an alternate plan, because we'd like to really have a live event in the fall of 2021. And that's been our goal since the inception back in 2016 when we started the campaign. So that's kind of what we're trying to put our hands around. We are incorporating a student, employee, and a community kickoff event in the fall, along with regional small dinners for exclusive dinners for our donors that are not just within California, but all across the state. So we'd be going to them, of course, if we're able to travel. So that would start next year through October of 2022. And then we'd have our regional rallies through October of 2023, and our campaign ends in June of 2023. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning from both presentations, and how to really try to understand how to form this, because, as you know, it's kind of hard to start planning something when we don't know like what's going to happen on campus next year.
Plan, like Antoinette said, plan for the worst. You need to, and start planning really far out. Yep. It took 2.5 times, it was 2.5 times harder than any event I've ever done, because you just had to capture everything on video. I think you should plan that it could be partially virtual. I don't know that we're going to have an appetite for people to want to gather in groups of hundreds, even by the fall of 2021. So that my advice would be, not just as what I do every day, but I also do this around the country, is I'm telling people, just plan for the fact that we're probably not going to be our comfort level. And who wants to go to an event with a mask on and have individually served? I just don't think the experience we're used to giving them is what they're going to get in big groups. But maybe there's a cool way you can do it with small sub parties, right? I think there's all kinds of creative ways to do that, but.
Yeah, I would echo Angie's sentiments on that. I would assume, yeah, some sort of virtual hybrid potentially event, but smaller in scale.
Yeah, there's a lot of great creativity going into how to plan this, and we have such a great team at CSUN with working with our marketing teams and our development officers and everyone else. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's just very hard to, I'm also a small department. It's myself and my team member. So it's the two of us. And we just finished last week, we did a live event, a webinar last week, inducting our class of 1970. And we did a lot of ambitious things, including a slideshow and music of the era and polling, and we also did breakout rooms, and we did virtual swag bags. And so there are a lot of things that we did, and all the comments that we received were almost, all positive, with the exception of some people, it was hard to log on and things like that. But I think, and Sarin, you can chime in. I mean, you were part of the breakout and attended the event, but we did get people, they really appreciated it. And we did mention to them, we wanted to honor them this year, and we didn't want to not honor them, but we hope to see them in person next year. So that's another thing. But it was, all in all, it was a great event. Our president talked live. We had an alum who's being inducted speak live. So it was really, the live thing is I think is so important when you're connecting to people. And and there's a lot of things you can do, a lot of things you can't do live, and a video, what you were talking about, Angie, is something that you definitely have to pre-record. But the event worked for us, and we had about 50 people that signed up.
I love it. Dominique, the one thing we did do at the last minute is we opened a chat up on YouTube so we could have some type of a way for people to comment. And if you were on your computer and you had a YouTube, account, you could, add comments in, and it was so fun to see. So that was the way it was slightly made more interactive that night. So we had this cute video with an undergrad, and his name is Sergio, and he's like, I just feel like people are cheering, go Sergio, go. And then all of a sudden, like all of these people that were commenting started writing, go Sergio, go. It was like, so like it was resonating. So being able to open that up so people could react in real time, because isn't that the best part of our events when you're live, is to see them laugh at the right moments and cry at the right moments, So anyway.
Well, thank you.
I just want to jump in as one of the DODs over at CSUN in the humanities. What really I thought worked well was the breakout rooms where, we had about, let's say, 6 people total, and 4 of them were alums. But it also allowed each of those alums to kind of have that one-on-one with a representative. Our dean or interim dean participated. She posed questions. They answered them in the chat box. We had a small presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, like, in 1970, this is what we had, what we had, look where we are now, to kind of give them that comparative. And even a few of the folks were like, wait a minute, you were there when I was there, you took these courses, we must have had classes together, you know, and then they started talking amongst themselves. So I think that really, which Dominique had said before, was sort of the substitute for gathering around the table during the actual program if we had done it all live. But I think this worked out even better because it was so focused and concentrated, and we weren't one table and 45 in one room where the distractions are many.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Love it.
Awesome for sharing. And I'll say that it's very serendipitous that we're talking about this now, because somebody just asked about how to keep audiences engaged during kind of live streams like that. So the comment box was very nice. And I'll tell you, since I logged on live to that, it was a very active, very positive comments being dropped under the Davis launch video. Wondering if anybody considered or is thinking about kind of contest or maybe like social media contests to further engage audiences. Either Angie and Antoinette, if you guys have something in mind, or of course to the larger group if anybody else.
We are actually, as part of the campaign launch, so we're actually engaging students in a contest, and this is mainly just because our student population, again, we're trying to establish that culture of philanthropy. So we are engaging them through ASI, and we have a student actually who's pretty famous on TikTok. So we're gonna have him do a TikTok video to get students to send us videos on, you know, why they chose Sac State as an institution that they wanted to go to school at, what some meaningful contributions the university has had on their life, and of course, what sort of impact philanthropy has had. So they can create a video in whatever medium or setting that works for them. We're gonna pick the top 3 videos and put them in our actual launch event, and then the winner gets to give $500 to a student program of their choice. So we're definitely kind of using the gaming aspect to get students involved.
Love it.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing, Antoinette. I look forward to that one. We did have a clarifying question in the chat. Folks are wondering if, for Angie, since you were using iModules, if the kind of uniquely generated link is kind of a standard feature in iModules, or if that's something that required kind of additional effort on your team's part.
It doesn't require additional effort. It just, iModules connects with our database. So if you registered, we were able to track that. So no, it's not additional effort. It would be very easy for you to do. It's just, and for us, the analytics on the back end to demonstrate, you know, how much effort we put into it so we can give them. So like, for example, on Monday morning, my prospect research team took everybody that participated that is in a managed portfolio, and we provided that content to our development officers. So, and there's a plan for them to follow up with those people to say, what did you think? Did you have any questions? Well, then we also sent a survey that night, and we had 500 or some people respond. So, and we asked one of the questions was, would you like additional information about our campaign? And if so, what area is most interesting? And so we're taking that data and linking it to the people who, you know, responded, and we can give that information to our development officers. So again, it's just creating opportunity for connection for our development officers. The things that they would have talked about and been able to react, you know, see people's reactions in person if they were hosting a table. We were trying to find ways to create that for them, because they didn't get to experience it with them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, very clever. So we're right at the end of our time. I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen once more to remind everybody that there are additional on-call calls coming up in the following months. Next month is going to be on staff and employee appreciation events. And then the one in December will be on event gamification. And of course, folks are welcome to go ahead and join and follow the CSUEPN network on Facebook and LinkedIn. And of course, you guys can sign up for the ListServ by sending me a note. So I want to thank very much our presenters for taking the time to share their expertise and all the things that they learned. And everybody for tuning in today and bearing with me at the beginning with that loud music. But thank you all so much. And I hope you guys have a great rest of the day and best of luck on all your campaign plans.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.